Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Good, good. My name's Ashley. I'm going to be your counselor going forward. It's really nice to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in. Just a couple housekeeping items.
Sure.
I just wanted to let you know that I am a mandated reporter. And what that means is that we do have confidentiality in our sessions. But if you do disclose anything regarding, harm to yourself, any harm to others, including vulnerable populations such as children or the elderly, I am required to report. And I also wanted to let you know that we are planning on recording this session. Is that okay with you?
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much. So let's get going.
Sure.
What brought you in today?
So I was recently diagnosed with a medical condition, and I have to kind of, restart my life.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. I had a condition that is causing me to lose my vision. So I'm not completely blind, but I have, functional vision loss.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing. And what does that look like for you?
I don't drive anymore.
Okay.
I can't. My license was taken away. I can no longer work in my field, so I have to, kind of consider what I'm going to do from this point on to make money and to provide. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I imagine you're having some feelings, a little bit of stress and anxiety around that. Is that safe to say?
Yeah. There's a little bit of anxiety, yes.
Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And since that happened, what are some of the things that you have been doing, or in order to move forward and kind of, plan your life going forward?
Sure. So I've been kind of turning to my family to help me find communities. People that have experienced this, and seeing what they're doing and what they've done, and who's kind of paved the way, and try to find a direction, what can be done, because I don't know what's possible, right? This is very new to me. I've lived 40 years sighted without an issue, and now I have to figure out, am I going to work? Where am I going to get income from? Transportation. I mean, even things like grocery shopping. Navigating, just different environments has been really challenging. So there's a lot that I'm kind of figuring out.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing. So it sounds like you do have a strong support system. Would that be safe to say?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've been, being able to communicate with family and different community members, it sounds like, that are,
Yes.
have experienced similar things. Great. What does that look like? What types of groups have you been able to, reach out to and communicate with?
So no one in my family has really experienced vision loss at this level. But what they do is they'll help me go online and find different communities, like pointing me towards the VA and other veteran groups. There's a lot of recreational groups for veterans with disabilities that I've found, and it's nice, but it isn't necessarily specifically for vision loss. It's for just general disabilities. So it is nice to find those groups, but it's been difficult finding specifically other people that have that experience. But my family has been helping me navigate online, and to use a computer to call up places like the VA and make appointments and stuff. So they've been very helpful in that sense.
That's excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
And what has some of the services that maybe the VA has been able to assist you with?
I have an appointment with they're called the VISP, which is the visual impairment. I don't know what the SP stands for. Might have gotten that wrong. But they have the blind rehabilitation. They're the bros. That's all I know. And I think it's pretty cool. They're the bros. Yeah.
Is that what they refer to us?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
But they do rehabilitate for vision loss. So I have an appointment next month with them, and we'll see how that goes.
Excellent. Glad to hear it. And I know previously you mentioned in terms of looking toward an income and what's next and changing your career. What did you do previously?
I used to work in IT.
Okay.
So I used to work on computers, and it's something that I'm not sure that I can still do.
Okay.
I'd be interested. I know that there is software out there that might be able to help me, but for the most part, I don't know where to start and whether I can work at the same level that I used to, or if I need to start from scratch, in a different field, which I'm not opposed to. I'm comfortable with that as well.
That's great to hear. Thank you. Have you done any work in the field of IT since you started experiencing vision loss?
I worked for, very briefly, I worked for a company called Iris Vision, and what they do is they have a set of goggles for people with low vision. That they're basically virtual reality headset with
Wow.
software like OCR and filters and digital magnifiers, and yeah, it's a really cool product. But the company itself, our values didn't really align very well.
Okay, so that was like a volunteer experience you did, or was that a paid work
Oh
experience?
no, that was a paid work.
That was
experience, yeah.
great. Okay, excellent. Have you done any other work, whether in that field or in any other field since?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right. Excellent. And is there anything from say the IT field, additionally, that you really enjoy that you think might be a strong, transferable skill that you would like to continue using, or where you feel like you could continue, utilizing the skill sets that you have?
Yeah, I gravitated more towards the project management and leadership side, which I've done throughout, the different fields that I've worked in.
Great.
So I never really specialized in any one, in any one sort of I didn't specialize in specialization. So most people will go into networking, or they'll go into cybersecurity, or they'll go into whatever little siloed area or arena. I really was on the track to go, upper management, executive, in that sense. So, that's why I'm not really tied to IT. I don't have a strong bond to it. It was sort of a means to just kind of keep moving up.
Sure.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I can understand that. Yeah. So kind of, while it's your skill set, it's not necessarily something that you are incredibly passionate about
Exactly.
and need to continue doing.
Exactly.
Okay.
What I did like was the environment. I've done blue collar work most of my life, and I enjoyed the working in an office, the air conditioning, the break room, the snack machines, working in a place that had free drinks, free snacks, you know what I mean? Like working in the field for 15 years, in the rain and the sun and the elements, it takes its toll. It takes its toll. So it was really nice to work in a clean, sterile, friendly environment. Yeah.
Absolutely, I can relate to that. I'm someone that enjoys kind of that structure and being able to go somewhere and have some consistency during the day. So I understand that.
Yes,
Thank you
absolutely.
for sharing. That's kind of what that sounds like to you as well. You mentioned that you've worked in rain and snow and pretty rough conditions. Tell me about what that looks like for you.
The snow I only ever really worked in while I was in boot camp in Great Lakes. I never even seen the snow until then. And if I'd seen it after, it was trips to, Big Bear or something like that. So not really a snow bunny or anything.
Did I make up that you said snow? Maybe
No, I did not.
But rain, you said. Listening skills.
The rain and the heat and just working outdoors, working on a shipyard, working on roadside. It takes its toll. It reminds you of how difficult that world is.
Sure.
That field work. It's good work. It definitely feels like you're earning your living. But as I looked at the people around me that have been there before, that have been there for a while, you see that physically they're this type of work takes their toll on them, and mentally as well.
Sure.
Most of the techs are they're a bit salty across the board, where you either have grit and you just kind of power through, or you kind of let it chip away at you, and just that even that thought process, even that, it was like, okay, let's adjust here, because I prefer to be in something for the long run. You know, I have a lot of energy, I have a lot of fire, and you know, working as a welder, you know, it could really damage your lungs and your eyesight too. But that's a wash now.
Sure.
Working as an electrician is very hazardous work. Working on a shipyard, people like to tell you that where you're standing, somebody died because a crane dropped something. You know what I mean? Just little stories like that make me think, well, you know, maybe I'll go work in an office.
Absolutely.
For a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing. So I assume that experience was part of your military experience, or was that after?
No, that was after. So
Okay.
very early on, and I was an electrician in the military. I was
Okay.
a rescue swimmer, so also
Wow.
very hazardous work. But I was young. I was 18 to 22. 18 to 22. So for that little snapshot of life, it was perfect. I was in shape. I was eager to jump out of helicopters. I was eager to go on a little boat and just go out into the middle of the ocean and dive in and just no land to be seen. Now not so much. You get older, you start you start a family.
Sure.
You have people that depend on you, and all of a sudden that hazardous life is kind of if and I don't judge anybody that continues that way. I think it's a very honorable way to work. Some people trades are trades. We need people in trades. It's great.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody should learn a trade. But if you have the choice and if you're willing, basically, I just want to do what I want. I want to do it safely and I want to do it for a long time.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was there anything, would you say, from that experience, the welding experience and the electrician experience that you feel like I mentioned with the IT skills, are kind of things that you particularly enjoyed or are really strengths of yours that maybe you could continue into your...
Problem solving is the engineering mindset. Yeah, so if you have a problem, if you're faced with a challenge, a barrier, how do you get around it? How do you solve it? How do you keep the project moving? All these sort of different fields that I've been in are all very solution based. They're all, they're all areas where you don't really escalate it to anybody else. You're it. If you have a problem, you don't call somebody else to solve the problem unless that's their job.
Yeah.
But you have to even determine that you have to call somebody, or you have, who you have to call to help you to fix the thing or to move the thing along. Mm-hmm. So I do enjoy creative problem solving quite a bit. Yeah.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
So it sounds like, kind of looking back at some of your past work history, and then as well as kind of what you want to do going forward. Obviously, like you mentioned, being in more of an office safe environment, maybe working around a very positive teamwork environment, where you have an opportunity to do some problem solving, create some solutions for people. Have you been in roles where it's in like kind of more helping positions, and do you feel like that's kind of an area where you thrive, or where it would be something that you'd
absolutely.
be comfortable in?
There are elements of customer service to all of these.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but to many of the roles I've had in the past. I worked for the phone company, and there was a lot of customer interaction. So dealing with the different populations in San Diego, you come across different cultures. You come across different races and ethnicities and neighborhoods, and you have to be, you have to have a level of humility to you when you go step into someone's house, and you're doing, it's intrusive work for people to allow you into their house and to, have you moving their furniture and running wires and doing stuff, and there's a lot of interaction in IT as well. I went to, I traveled for the company. I was a liaison, so I went to India a number of times.
Yeah.
So in dealing with, I talked about going into people's houses. Now you're going in a different country. You're going into their spaces. You're a guest in their world. There's a lot of, you have to have a very delicate approach you know, and you know, Americans I think have a stigma anyways, you know, just so right off the bat that people think about you in a certain way, so you have to, you know, there's a lot of negotiating, you know, with cultures and emotions and behaviors, and there's a lot of give and take, yeah.
Absolutely, and that's a great example, you know, having, like how you said, you're a guest in their world,
Yeah.
so I think that probably gave you some really good strengths and skills in terms of being able to work with, you know, diverse groups of people, have some
Absolutely.
experience there. Great, and would you say that's something that you enjoy, is the, you know, opportunity to work with
Oh, absolutely.
diverse groups? Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Okay. So moving forward, you know, have you given any thought, or have you, you know, independently had any thoughts about what would be kind of combining these types of skills in terms of what might be an area of interest to you moving forward? Or is that still something you're really looking to explore?
That's definitely something I'm really looking to explore. So I'd like to see what, you know, if I can get into a role, how do I get into it? You know, what do I need to prepare myself? You know, what can I do? Are there, you know, interpreters, assistants? Is it more technical, you know, the assistance that I'll be getting, like that I'll need? I'm not sure, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, I can certainly tell you, you know, I think a great first step would be maybe doing some career assessments, kind of understanding a little bit about, you know, where your strengths can translate to. So I think that would be definitely something that we can, you know,
Sure.
we can work on with you going forward. Are you open to, you know, pursuing additional education? Is that something you are
Absolutely.
interested in and open to? Okay, great. So I think, again, maybe a great next step for you would be we can start looking at different, you know, university programs. Maybe once you've done some, you know, career assessments
Sure.
through our system and looking at different colleges and universities that might have good programs. And are you familiar with different types of, you know, accessibility services on campus, you know, student disability services, things like that, in terms of where you can find different supports, assistive technology?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, if you care to enlighten me, that'd be great.
Absolutely, yeah. So typically, you know, on, you know, within the community college system, within the university system, four-year university system, there are designated departments on campus whose specific roles are to really support individuals with disabilities,
Okay.
to not only provide counseling that will, you know, assist you with navigating, you know, the college system, but also specific assistive technology departments.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So they would be, you know, available to you to really help you navigate, you know, areas of your academic experience, whether it's, you know, obviously reading boards or reading textbooks, you know, for example, translating textbooks into an audio format.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they'd be able to do that for me.
Absolutely, yep, and that would certainly be something on our end that we could help you connect with on campus.
Is there a cost for these services?
It would come with whatever the cost of the tuition would be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so there's no additional cost.
There would not be an additional cost.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And tell me, are you connected through VA services? Are you eligible to receive any, you know, pay for tuition through the services you receive?
So that's a good question
Yeah.
because I did already use my GI Bill for my bachelor's degree. So I don't know. I guess, I mean, what can I do? How do I look into that?
Yeah, I'll have to refer with my colleagues, Julie and Solomon. They're really the experts on veteran services.
So that sounds wonderful, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So, you know, we can all work together to understand kind of what your benefits might look like going forward.
Okay.
And I don't think I asked you this, but you did say you used your GI Bill to pay for college previously. What did you previously?
IT management.
It was IT management.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Yeah, so it sounds like, you know, we probably have a pretty good start, at least, moving forward. I think I have a pretty good understanding of some of the things that you discussed that you're interested in. What really stood out to me was you talking about a role where you might be able to do some problem solving and find solutions for problems. You know, utilizing obviously the skills that you did build, both in, you know, project management and in IT, and also, and I think working with, you know, in terms of the traveling that you've done and, you know, working with diverse groups and being able to, go into other people's worlds and understand kind of what they're going through. And also, I think some of the lived experience that you probably have can be very, very useful if that's something you're interested in, incorporating into your work world. Does that sound pretty accurate?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. I think maybe trying to find something that is, in that troubleshooting, creative problem solving, but also incorporates disability in some way. Or, at least an environment that's friendly to people with disabilities. I know there are
Sure.
companies that do hire people with disabilities or that, help people with disabilities. And I think something like that, like a Walmart greeter or something like that, that'd be good.
A Walmart greeter.
Something.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, that's a great start. Thank you. Did I miss anything else about your experience or about kind of interests that you have? Any sort of concerns or barriers that you feel like you're kind of running into?
So outside of work,
Sure.
are there any services, like social services or anything that I can connect with to maybe help me, with, food or pay bills, something like that in the meantime?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a great thought. I think being connected to the VA is a great start for you. They can certainly provide you, some assistance that way. Otherwise, you may certainly want to consider some of the, the state services. For example, CalFresh would be an opportunity, would be a way to, get support with your food needs. I think, there are certainly, kind of more like, short or long-term disability services that you could be considered for if you want to receive some, temporary support through that, through Social Security. That's absolutely an option for you.
Social
Is that something
Security.
that you've looked into?
No. So
Okay.
I could contact Social Security.
You could potentially contact Social Security. There are, if you went onto something such as like SSI or SSDI, there are some, intricacies around work
Sure.
and receiving those benefits. So that would be something you definitely want to be, aware of. But there are certainly more short-term options available as well. But there are some, considerations between how much you're able to earn. It does take some time in order to be able to receive, Social Security disability benefits.
Yeah, imagine they don't work really fast.
Shock, right? But certainly that's a process that we can help you navigate if that is something you'd like to at least look into as an option. In the meantime, perhaps while you're looking for work. But again, a lot of times, for example, SSDI, basically you would kind of have to show that you were unable to work in order to qualify, which it sounds to me like what you'd really prefer to do is find work.
Yes.
So I would think that maybe more of a short-term solution might be more appropriate for you, like a short-term disability solution.
Okay.
Does that sound, am I kind
Yeah,
of
that sounds right.
speaking to
That
what you
sounds-
would
that sounds
think
pretty
about?
good.
Okay,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think, a good starting point, I think, looking at CalFresh, looking at the VA, and maybe more of a, you could always talk with your doctor or the VA about more of a short-term disability solution.
Absolutely.
Okay, sounds great. Have you thought about assistive technology? No, I'm just kidding. Anything else that you'd kind of like to go over today? Again, any barriers, anything that you've been thinking about?
Yeah. So transportation has been interesting because I used to drive.
Sure.
I used to drive, and I was wondering if you had any ideas on how I could get around, because even if I were to find a job, I can't depend on other people,
Sure.
especially when they're working and they have their own lives.
Sure. Do you have a comfort level with public transportation, or is that something that you prefer not to?
I have a familiarity, but not as a visually impaired person, only as a person fully sighted.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I could ride the trolley. I've
Sure.
done it plenty of times. When I was younger, I used to ride the bus. That's not a problem. But just in general, now with a visual impairment, getting to a bus stop, getting on the right bus, getting to the trolley, getting on the right trolley, things like that, stepping, out into the street, those things could be very challenging.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
And I didn't ask this before, but are you familiar with the Department of Rehabilitation, or have you been connected to the Department of Rehabilitation?
No,
Okay.
not familiar with them.
Okay, so that would definitely, I was kind of talking as a DR counselor, I think, but, so that would definitely be something I think that would be worth pursuing. So the Department of Rehabilitation is a state agency
Okay.
that works with clients with various disabilities, a wide range of disabilities. And not only do they support with career counseling and support with finding employment, that's the major focus, but they can also provide various support services around that, transportation being one of them.
Cool.
And that would be more, from a financial standpoint, whether it, be a bus pass, or maybe, a way that you could take, be connected with MTS in a way that they would come, maybe pick you up from a location that's difficult to take public transportation to provide you from point A to point B. But also, DOR would help with funding for something like that as well, or maybe it's something more like providing, like, for example, the ability to take an Uber, if that makes more sense for you, if that's something you're more familiar with.
Oh, I think that would be much. I feel more comfortable with that.
Okay.
Because they do pick you up, at your location, wherever you're at, as opposed to having to find a bus stop, right? And then, God forbid, there's construction, or there's some sort of a detour, some sort of a change to your environment, or it's busy, heavy traffic, things like that. Having an Uber pick you up at your location and drop you off, basically door-to-door service, is that definitely provides a more of a level of security and safety and comfort.
Okay.
But it's expensive.
Sure.
It's very expensive. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I like the Uber XLs, like the big black, SUV.
Yeah, that's your preference.
I have fine taste. Yeah.
I can understand that. Why not? Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think, with that said, it sounds like definitely, obviously some transportation is still something that you would want to get a little bit more comfortable with, but perhaps, having opportunity to access Uber, but in a way that could be a little more cost effective. So I'm thinking that, definitely, I would like to refer you to the Department of Rehabilitation if you're comfortable with that.
Oh, absolutely, yes, thank you.
Great, absolutely. So we'll do that, and they can continue doing some more career exploration with you as well.
I would like that, yes.
Great, sounds like a good plan. And like I mentioned, they'll also be able to support with some other wraparound needs, such as transportation. I believe, again, I will confirm, but I believe that they would help pay for Uber transportation as well, not only public transportation.
Very nice.
And they have, and again, I'm not an expert on this, so I'd have to ask, but, for example, they are able to, for people that, maybe would like to drive in the future, they can help with, say, like retrofitting a vehicle, so maybe it can be something that can be used, and I don't know what that would look like for you, to be honest. That would be something I would have to do more research on, but that could be, if there was a way.
Self-driving cars?
Self-driving car would be an example. There you go.
Down for one of those?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we have one coming up on the assembly line for you, right?
Nice.
But absolutely, that is something that you could consider down the road, I think. If there's potential there could be assistance for that.
Oh, very nice.
Excellent. All right, so I think that is a really good starting point for you. So what I think I'd like to do next, again, I do have an assessment that I can send to you in terms of career assessment, just to get a little bit more information, on paper about what your potential career interests could look like, but I think we have some great information here. And then I think that a referral to the Department of Rehabilitation will be a great next step. It will involve, a little bit of an intake process. There can be a bit of a wait to get services there. I will give you a heads up on that.
Sure.
So certainly I think you and I should continue talking in the meantime.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I'll get that assessment sent over to you maybe in the next say in like 2 weeks, maybe we could schedule another appointment. That'll give you enough time to kind of take that. And
I'm not really working right now, so I'm just kind
you
of.
got some time? All right, so you got some time to take that
Yeah.
assessment. Excellent. And then in the meantime, if you need any assistance, I can send you the link to look into CalFresh.
Okay.
Look into any kind of short-term disability that might be appropriate for you, just to be able to meet basic needs. And I would recommend talking to the VA also and seeing what they might have available.
Excellent.
As
Yeah,
well.
that sounds like. Do you mind emailing me these items so
Absolutely,
that I
yeah.
have them and
Is
you know,
email the best format for you?
yes,
Okay.
large print,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Great.
some sort of a sans serif font.
Sans serif
Yeah,
font is
no
better for you. Great.
squigglies, no cursive.
Not my usual comic.
Really, yeah.
All right.
No, your Comic Sans.
Dang.
No wingdings, please.
My
Learned
default
that-
wingdings I
learned
have to
that,
change.
yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
fine.
we did.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a great plan. Are there any questions for me or anything else that we can?
No, you know, I think you've covered a lot of good stuff. You've answered some good initial questions, and I think it's, like you said, it's a great starting point.
Okay.
And yeah, I feel really good about this. So
I'm
thank you. I
glad to hear
appreciate
it.
that.
Thank you. Me as well. And I feel
Thank
like, yeah, you have some wonderful transferable skills, a great, positive outlook.
Yes.
And I'm excited for your future.
No, thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thank you.
right.
All right.